Hello, everyone. I'm Richard Sher. A little bit of laryngitis. Welcome to Square Off. Let's meet our great panel. Nicolee Ambrose, Barry Gogel, Professor Rick Vatz, Attorney Mary Koch. If you have seen video of the demolition of the historic East Wing of the White House, it looks like a war zone. If you've seen that video, the president is having built a 90,000 square foot state ballroom that can accommodate 1,000 guests. And Nicolee, as a committeewoman for the GOP, I imagine you'll be seeing that room or that ballroom. What do you think about this, Nick?
I'm excited to see the ballroom. The space is needed. The White House complex has not had a big space for kind of modern needs, and it's good that it will be secure and on the White House campus. And if we look at the history of the White House, just since 1902, 13 presidents undertook major renovation projects, including Teddy Roosevelt tearing down Roosevelt's greenhouses, which was a much bigger project. The East Wing was built in 1942, not very historic, not very fantastic. The legend has it it's over a bunker, nothing special, definitely not the main White House for certain, and looking forward to this improvement.
Miss Mary?
Just proves again that when his lips are moving, he's lying because he is the one who said it's not going to affect the structure of the White House. It is going to be adjacent to the East Wing. Didn't tell anyone what he was planning on doing, and then just brought the bulldozers in without consulting with anyone. Just started tearing it down to build his monstrosity, which will likely overshadow the existing structure. So that's my thought on that.
Rick Vatz.
Well, there have been a number of presidents who have made changes to the White House, but this one appears to be paid for by not the public, but by Trump supporters and Trump. I mean, that can be a danger too, because you don't know when people pay for something, they usually want something in return.
Right.
We don't know what they want in return. So that's a danger.
Barry?
Listen, the Banner reported yesterday that 680,000 SNAP recipients could lose their food benefits starting next week. It's a bad look to be building a $240 million Marie Antoinette type ballroom with that going on in the country. If that's not a let them eat cake, bad look moment, I don't know what is.
Well, there's already lots of pushback. Trump had said, as Mary pointed out, that he would not touch the East Wing. However, by the end of this weekend, the entire East Wing of the People's House will be gone.
I would just like to ask who's actually been there. Been there a lot of times. It was like a hallway and not a very good one. So for anyone who's actually been there, that is the least significant part of the entire White House campus. Also, the Secret Service building will have to be reconfigured. And the irony of this is the people on the left who've gone nuts, like people like Gavin Newsom, who is, instead of using private dollars, using taxpayer funded dollars to rip apart his beautiful, historic, original building in Sacramento. So all the people complaining, I would like them to check it out. And please know your history before you complain. Actually learn about the White House campus, look at the buildings. On my Facebook page, Nicolee USA, I have the link to just all the changes to the White House since 1902.
All right.
And there were far more changes in the
Hold it,
1800s,
Barry.
even in the
Hold it.
1900s.
We're going to go Mary, and we're going to go Rick, and then we're going to do Barry. Mary, go ahead.
You know, here's the thing that gets me about this. That's not what Trump said. That Trump said, he didn't say anything that Nicolee just said. All she's doing is what Trump supporters do all the time, which is after the fact, supporting with whataboutism. The fact of the matter is that he said, I'm not going to touch the East Wing. If what Nicolee says is true about why the East Wing is not important, then why don't you just say that? Because I would dare say that the other person who doesn't know anything about White House history is freaking Donald Trump.
Well, let me just say that this is much ado about not a great deal, because a lot of changes have been made to the White House, And if you're looking for punctilious consistency in Donald Trump or any president, you're just not going to find it. Yes, there are deceptions. Yes, he can be deceptive. Let's grant that and move on.
I don't think we should just grant deception. You know, that that's a cynical standard. We should hold people to their words, and especially our public officials. And Nicolette, if this is such a good idea, why not do it then with consensus? Why not go get the approvals, the proper approvals from the city? Why not care about other people? Why not look around and see what's going on in the country and see if 240 million, even if it is private money, that probably is paved with favors.
And Barry,
Wait,
the estimate is now 300 million.
Okay, the 300 million. Why not do it the right way?
Go ahead, Nick.
There's the right way, there's the wrong way, and there's Donald Trump's way. And that Donald Trump's way is well beyond.
Hold it, Rick.
Okay.
Nick.
All right, so guess who else who spent 300 million without getting the approval of Washington, D.C. and Muriel Bowser? That was Barack Obama to build a basketball court and a few other useless things that we have nothing to show for. So
oh my God,
check
that must be
it out.
some
Go on
gold-plated.
the White House website and check out the history of it. But what you were talking about is absurd. It was the Federal District of Columbia until the 1970s. The White House, the president has jurisdiction over that campus when he is duly elected. And by the way, when every single swing state in this country, every president has the right to make improvements. There's no requirement whatsoever to run things back by an completely incompetent DC City Council. You are just making things up right and left. And furthermore, if you would like to ask why the government is shut down, you can ask the Democrats because they keep voting to keep it closed and they're calling it leverage. So for anyone who's upset about not getting their paycheck, they can thank a Democrat.
Rick.
Yeah, I'd like to know what president since Jimmy Carter has not been inconsistent. I mean, Jimmy Carter was probably the most honest, consistent president we've had in a long time, and he was an awful president. So, you can get punctiliously honest presidents, but you don't get good policy from that generally.
Well, we have dishonesty and bad policy now, so that's great.
Well, and my point is,
and you don't disagree, do you?
Yeah,
not to Bill Clinton and Barack Obama and Joe Biden, who didn't even know if he was being honest or not by the time he was president. I mean, Democrats have the best track record with that.
Okay, so all I'm going to say is go back to what I said again. It's not about the DC Council deciding whether or not the
have no purview.
Should be built. There are White House commissions. There are historians that could have been consulted with. All I'm saying is this is ultimately to stand in front of people again and just lie. Like, you're lying. And it's lying about something that honestly, in the scheme of things, you really don't have to lie about. Because if there's a justification, if there's a reason, if you have a plan, if you've consulted, it's not, just tell people. It's not a big deal. But if you lie about the simple stuff, like the stuff that really at the end of the day is not going to make or break this country, like the guy, his lips are moving and he's lying. And I don't want to hear the whataboutism.
As opposed to whom,
no one who even
Mary?
comes close to him.
Mary, as opposed to whom? What is Bill Clinton your model for honesty?
No, Bill Clinton's not my model for honesty, but honestly, blowing ships up with no due process, with no information, going in international waters and blowing up ships.
Let me finish.
Selling out the farmers with your stupid tariffs, saying you're going to create, lying to people and having them believe you that you're going to create manufacturing in the United States. It's not going to freaking happen. The Argentinian deal about, bringing beef over here from Argentina when we have cattle farmers here. The whole idea of putting RFK in a place where he says to Congress, "Oh, I'm not going to dispute, the efficacy of vaccines." And here we sit with the biggest measles outbreak we've ever had, and him basically telling people not to take the COVID shot while Trump is getting his. I mean, it's the whole thing. It's not one thing in isolation. This just is the easiest example of him lying.
Okay, so by the way, I have no idea what Mary's even talking about. She's hanging her entire argument on something that most people in the world have never seen. Apparently, you and Gavin Newsom and Barry are stuck on this random Trump said XYZ. I have no idea what you're talking about. I know that the White House and the president repeatedly presented a plan over and over and over again, and that the White House desperately needs a secure space to host both the media and the international community, because every other president for the past few decades has been putting people in tents. It makes no sense to keep putting people in tents when you have completely secure ground where you can host people inside in 21st century America. So, no, it's just logical. And no, I think you ascribe very negative motives to things that do not have a negative
10
motivation.
more minutes.
Let me just also say, if we're talking about political integrity, where is political integrity today? Look at the shutdown. Where is political integrity? Is it in the Democrats who don't want to have a continuing resolution, which they voted for many times in the past years? I mean, where is integrity? Do you find it anywhere? I mean, Mary, you're so outraged at these deceptions by Trump, and I can see there are some deceptions by Trump. But where's your model for political rectitude?
I have to tell you that when people, I'm not saying, look, I'm not a fan of politicians. I understand how things work, but honestly speaking, he ignores the rule of law. I mean, I can sit here and have this conversation with you and cite a million things, different things that he's done or hasn't done.
I could say about
Literally, people in his administration, in the DOJ, the third highest ranking member in the DOJ, telling people to ignore the orders of courts. You can say whatever you want about what other presidents have done. This is not normal. None of this is normal. None of this is okay. You can defend it all you want. The fact of the matter is that the Democrats, they're not the perfect party either. Trust me, I'm not in love with the Democratic Party either. But this idea of people getting kicked off of healthcare costs skyrocketing, rural hospitals closing. I do medical malpractice. I see the kind of healthcare that's available in those areas because I do cases there. Those are all problems that are created by a lot of the policies that are coming out of this government. And the fact that they are talking about vaccines as if they are some kind of invention of an evil empire is outrageous. And the scary part is people listen to them to the detriment of themselves and their families.
All right, Rick, last word.
So you want to have immigrants, illegal immigrants, have health care, and that's one of the main arguments with respect to the
No, it's not.
of the government.
Rick,
Yes,
you
it
know
is.
that's not true. You are too intelligent to know
100%
that's
Rich is
true.
correct.
Mary, I thought you were against interrupting. I'm sorry. I just can't see anywhere the honesty that you yearn for in president. I don't think Donald Trump is a particularly honest president, but I sure don't see any honesty today in in politics across the country.
All right.
Bring back Paul Ryan.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Very good discussion. We have others to talk about. Right now, here's the voice of Square Off, Howard Mallison.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Richard. If you are experiencing any kind of foot pain that requires medical attention, I recommend Dr. Kelly Gogel. She's a well-respected, board-certified podiatrist and heel specialist. No one is immune from foot problems. Also, if your concern is the appearance of your feet, Dr. Gogel has a long record of success using laser treatments to correct your issue. Plus, they're safe and painless and go right to the root of the problem. You can believe me because I'm a cured patient, and so is Richard.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to tell you, don't suffer from the agony of defeat. Start winning with a call from Dr. Gogel. A call to Dr. Gogel at 410-753-4422 to set up an appointment. Once again, that's 410-753-4422. And if you or a family member has experienced personal injury, medical malpractice, or nursing home neglect, it's time to call the law firm of Barry Glazer. He has the legal team and resources to go after the big insurance companies to get you every penny he can. With an in-house medical doctor and nurse, his attorneys work on the toughest and most complex medical malpractice cases. Barry Glazer is your best advocate for the injured, disabled, and medically abused. So give Barry Glazer a call at 410-547-8568 and let him know you heard about him on Square Off. And back to you, Richard.
Hey, Howard, these United States are anything but united. As last Saturday, 7 million anti-Trump protesters showed the world their disdain for Donald Trump's presidency, while Trump's Republican Party disparaged the Democrats, calling them hate America rallies. Excuse me. That's what they thought of the demonstrators. Barry Gogel, jump in.
Well, I think and then afterwards, I think they went all and said, oh, it was nothing, and those people look silly, and they wasted their Saturday, and I wish they would decide which it was. I think it was a very important day for a lot of people to express their disdain for a person who presents himself, wants to be, and presents himself as a king. And then what he did after with his his meme, whatever you want to call it, with a crown on an Air Force plane dumping defecation on protesters. I think that just shows that it was all justified.
Go ahead, Rick.
Well, whenever I hear this stuff about the United States being divided, it is divided. I've never seen it so divided, but it's divided because there are real issues on which people differ. DEI is a major issue. I mean, should members of DEI get preferential treatment? How about crime? How about immigration? Look what Trump has done with respect to illegal immigration. He's practically stopped it. It doesn't mean that there aren't still millions of illegal immigrants in the United States committing crimes, but I mean, there are issues that so divide this country, and there is an anti-centrism power across the country. People are just against those who are in the middle, who are responsible, and they continue to be attacked. So I think, if you look at, I mean, remember James David Barber in his book, The Presidential Character, he talked about different types of presidents. And he talked about, what would Trump be? Would he be an active positive president or an active negative president? Everybody agrees he's active, but is he positive or negative?
What do you say, Rick?
Democrat or Republican?
Rick, what do you say? Positive or negative?
Positive. But this doesn't mean I don't have trouble with Trump. I do have trouble with Trump. But he's positive or negative according to your political bias. And the country has such division today.
All right. Mary.
So here's the problem that I have. I don't think there's anybody who doesn't agree that we have an immigration problem. We have had an immigration problem. I'll use that as an example. I think that the problem is that we have always, I think, attempted as a country to deal with our issues consistent with the Constitution and the rule of law. And that is sort of what the backbone of democracy, that is the document that the founding fathers created. And I think that the problem that I have is two things. One is the law is not followed. People are swept off the streets by masked ICE officers. There's been articles about how they have little training and little vetting for many of them. They're walking around with masks, sweeping people up if they are brown people, regardless of whether or not they are U.S. citizens, and with no regard. And then this idea of taking people and whisking them away and sending them to countries that they have no relationship with. So sending a person from a country of Hispanic origin to an African nation where they have no opportunity to even be successful, to me, is cruelty at its highest level. It's not about immigration. I mean, you can think what you want about immigration, but for many of these people, they are coming here to have a better life and a better life for their family like all of us have. If they were doing what they said they were doing, which is getting rid of criminals, that's great, but that's not what's happening. They're just sweeping up numbers, and then they are just reveling in the cruelty of sending these people to the far corners of the earth. And that is what I have a problem with. And people who think it's okay now, when there's somebody else in office and rights have been stripped away, and now you are the person who no longer has the rights, or you are the target, then it becomes a different story. And it goes back to what people used to say all the time. Better that 100 guilty men go free than one innocent man be convicted. And that really has always been how we have looked at the Constitution, is to preserve the protections of all of us so that none of us are ever singled out.
I don't agree with that cliche, by the way. better that 100 or 1,000 people go free than.
Make it brief, Rick.
I'm sorry.
Make it brief.
Okay. How about DC? Has what's happened in DC been positive, been negative? It looks like DC has now become a place where families can walk, and it wasn't. Wasn't before
Yes, it was.
Trump that had his policy. You just shake your head, but give me some evidence. What in the world? What in the world happened in Washington D.C.?
Dr. Vatz, give us evidence of your statement that millions of illegal immigrants are committing crime. I mean, you shake your head, you say things, and say then give evidence. I would ask you to do the same. Evidence here in Baltimore, crime has been going down here in Baltimore, and we haven't had Donald Trump, thank goodness.
Because we have a new.
Nicolee.
Yeah. So we love differing opinions. It would be really boring if we all felt the same thing. And I would really like there to be two functioning parties in America. But the Democrat Party of everyone's parents is dead. It doesn't exist. It is a far left, violent, radical party now. And it's really upsetting to see Democratic leaders kowtowing to this violent far left radical base. And on the topic of division, I have to say we need to actually look at what is going on at these protests across America. And I'm going to highlight something that Piers Morgan highlighted, but this existed everywhere at these different protests across America. Over in Denver, the Denver Communists had a booth with a sign saying Charlie Kirk had it coming. Nearby, there was a lovely couple with T-shirts of Charlie Kirk being assassinated, saying, "Make assassinations great again." So is it acceptable for a major political party, including right now in Virginia, we have someone running to be the chief law enforcement officer of his state, wanting to kill people, and not just kill people, wanting to kill them in their family members' arms. In this case, we were talking about a 2- and 5-year-old child. And then on top of that, call to violence by the left against their political opponents. On top of that, you have insane amounts of dark money pouring in to prop up these leftists. And then, I mean, we had $294 million documented from groups like Arabella Advisors, George Soros, Warren Buffett, Ford, Rockefeller. It's yes. Am I concerned about this? Absolutely, because I don't think we've had a time before where the Democrat Party has thought it is mainstream to allow calls to violence and calls for an assassination of their political opponents. It's horrifying. It's disgusting. It's completely wrong. And I wish everyone would decry it.
Let Barry.
I would decry it. And Nicolette, did you see what your leader, Donald Trump, said at Charlie's funeral? I hate my political opponents. I hate my enemies, and I want them dead. And that's from the leader. That's from the one everybody's following. I haven't seen, you're talking about fringe elements of the Democratic Party, which I don't ascribe to. I haven't seen a leader of a Democratic Party ever say anything like, I hate my enemies and I want them dead.
Let me just say, first of all,
look at Virginia. Yes, you have.
You know, I don't defend Donald Trump on his rhetoric very much, but that was said half facetiously. I don't think so.
There's no such thing. Come on, Dr. Vatz.
Yes,
you can't say he was joking.
All right, guys.
That is not a defense.
He was
not
trying
for
to
the
get
president of the United States.
Barry, he was trying to get the crowd aroused. You look at Schiff, Pritzker, Sanders. All of these Democrats are utterly irresponsible, and they are taking the Democratic Party way, way, way to the left.
All right.
And the centrists in the Democratic Party are afraid to speak out against them.
Mary.
There are people that take him literally at his word. He is president of the United States. What are you talking about? He's being facetious. 99% of the people listening to him don't know what facetious means. They're listening to him in the context of someone who has been shot. And I'm sorry Charlie Kirk got shot, and I'm sorry I don't want to see anyone get murdered. But let's not please give this guy sainthood. He was a racist. He was a misogynist. He was a xenophobe. He was the person who said that it was, that it would better that people die and we preserve the Second Amendment. I mean, what are we talking? No, that shouldn't have happened. But what are we talking about here? Please, let's not canonize this guy.
A leftist Democrat Party that has tried to assassinate multiple Republicans.
And there's not been, let's talk about the politicians in Minnesota who were killed in their homes.
assassinated by someone
and the
on the
president
left.
of the United States couldn't even say, "I'm sorry that happened." Couldn't even call them up, but can stand in a rally for a guy who would only be considered a neo-Nazi and say, "I hate my enemies, I want to kill them." And by the way, that's not the first time he said it. He says it routinely. That is the kind of rhetoric that it angers people and stirs them to action. I'm sorry. So
this is so absurd that when you have a leftist Democrat Party, which has condoned 2 assassination attempts on the president of the United States, Steve Scalise, have you seen the man? He is a gray husk of who he used to be before a radical leftist from Plainfield, Illinois, tried to take his life on a baseball field. In Minnesota, those poor legislators were killed because they were not leftist enough. They were killed by a radical leftist because they were too moderate. We have a problem exclusively nearly with leftist violence in this country, and the Democrat leadership is not decrying it.
Right.
It is the most easy, basic thing to do to say, we do not support killing our political opponents. America is better than this, but this is what the Democrat Party and leadership has become. They condone it, they allow it, and they encourage it.
We'll be back after these words from Howard Mallison.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you. I appreciate that. 1 second. Let me get this. There we go. For breakfast, lunch, and dinner, your choice for a great meal starts at the Double T Diner. And all the menu choices are served the entire day. The Double T Diner has locations all over town. Route 40 West, Perry Hall, White Marsh, Bel Air, Laurel, Annapolis, Pasadena, and the EC Diner in Ellicott City. You've never seen a menu with so many selections. It's why the Double T Diner wins so many reader polls. Plus, Monday nights are lobster night at By the Docks, part of the Double T family. Let them know you heard about it on Square Off. And with so many cars on the road and distracted drivers everywhere, auto accidents will happen. And if you've experienced an accident, the insurance companies cannot tell you where to take your car. That's why more and more drivers are trusting their auto repairs and maintenance to leading edge auto body and mechanical repair. They work on all makes and models and offer free pickup and delivery anywhere in the Baltimore area. So give them a call at 410-443-6433 or visit them at 5807 Falls Road in Mount Washington. They make your car look and run like new again. Now back to you, Richard.
They do great work. They've worked on my car. They've worked on my wife's car. They will be happy to work on your car. Now, oh, by the way, Mary, dear Mary.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Nicolee. Fox News host Jesse Waters confessed on last Monday's 5 o'clock program on Fox that his mother was at the No Kings protest, to which Fox's Greg Gutfeld shouted, "Really?" Anyway, Waters said, "Can you believe my mom was there? Sometimes I think I was adopted. Both parents are Democrats." What do you think of that, Mayor?
I just think
I'm sorry.
Oh.
What do you think of that, Nicolee?
It cracked me up. I probably have a very similar situation to Jesse Waters. Fortunately, my mom doesn't go to protests, but she has some differing politicals from me for sure. But that gets to my point of it would be boring if we all agreed. And I mean, what's a real sign of a healthy family is when you can have differing opinions and still support and love each other. That's more the American model, right? Versus this insanity with leftists calling for assassination. So I support family members' differences and still loving each other.
No, stop. No, Rick. Mary, since I called your name twice. And then
I just think, without being disrespectful, I'm just going to say Nicolee epitomizes to me, the biggest problem. All she does is demonize other people. Everything she has said has referred to people as radical leftists. I'm registered as a Democrat. That doesn't make me a radical leftist. And most of the people in this country are in the middle. what we hear about on the news routinely are the people on the fringes because that's what's sexy and they think is interesting. But that's not how most people think, and that's not how most people live their lives. And I get very distressed when I hear people like Nicolee saying the things that she says because I think that epitomizes the kind of talk and demonization of other citizens of the United States of America
Mary,
that reinforces all of the division that's going on right now.
we don't like personal attacks on this program. Nicolee has all the right to say what she wants to say.
I'm not personally attacking her. I'm telling you, I think her
Yes, you are. You
No.
clearly are attacking me, Mary.
Stop it.
And that is disgusting. Would you like to call for my assassination as well? You know, I used to be head of the National Political
my God.
Organization. Maybe you
Are you
should
gonna
call for my
filibuster?
assassination
All right,
while you're
guys.
at it.
You're crazy. Now I am going to personally attack you. You sound
are.
like a right-wing nutball is what you sound like right now.
Can't wait. Stop.
Guys,
Time out.
shush, Barry. Quiet. No personal attacks on Square Off. Please. Please. But our viewers like it. They love it. In any case, we really had a good program. Let's go around the table. Your pick for the World Series. Who's going to win and how many games, Barry?
Orioles in 2025 in 4 games. Oh, I mean 26 in 4 games. No, kidding. I'll go with I'm rooting for the Blue Jays. 6 games.
Okay. Rick.
Toronto in 7.
Mary.
Toronto in 7.
And Nicolee.
If the Cubs and O's are out, I don't really care.
Dodgers in 5. Dodgers in 5.
You probably are right, Richard. It's just that no one wants the Dodgers to win.
Hey guys, good show. Very active. I didn't like the personal stuff at the end, but you guys can shake and make up. And we will see you, ladies and gentlemen, next week, with our special guest from MSNBC, our good friend Michael Steele, exclusively on Square Off. See you next time, and once again, we square off. So long. Goodbye.